Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So let's cover a little something different in this video. I think this is going to be a fun one because there's obviously a ton of coins out there, right? And we don't like to talk about much coins other than HEX here on the channel so far, other than Bitcoin and Ethereum, and we've compared their ROIs from day one. For example, those have actually been two of our most viewed videos, two of your guys' favorites. So I thought to myself, why not? when the when the choice is obvious at the end of the day with the charts and what the data suggests, then I'm personally not too worried about the risk of having, for example, hex holders FOMO into this other coin, right? Because the charts will like, do a better job at explaining this than me. But let's go ahead and dive in. All right. So here on this chart, we have the ROI from day one comparing ADA, also known as Cardano, and Hex on this pink curve over here. And so they're normalized so that they fit on the same scale, and you can see quite the story here, to say the least. So something interesting about ADA is that the data starts obviously from launch, but this coin was actually launched around October of 2017 or so. And if you've been in crypto for a while, then you probably know that the end of 2017, early 2018 was pretty much the end of that market cycle, the end of the bull rally. We saw our 20K top for BTC, our 1500 or so top for ETH, and for the most part, a lot of altcoins had their local tops, and for some even global tops. Right, some of them have never even recovered and probably won't around late 2017, early 2018. And so, having launched near that time, you see ADA actually had a peak of ROI from launch day at 45x from launch price. And if you look at it now, it's pretty much just barely gotten back to that in the last couple months or so. Which, what a terrible time to launch, right? Ideally, you might want to launch the same time Ethereum did, where it was around 2015 or so, the bottom of the bear market. So it was able to capture the majority of the Bitcoin bull run and the crypto bull run in general. And so if you launch near the end of a bull market, you get this peak real soon, or so. That's what the data is saying. Now with Hex, obviously we had our post-launch dump, and we had plenty of dumps along the way. But if you look at it after the course of the first year or so, sooner than that, actually, about 280 days. So what is that like? Excuse me, let's turn this off. About 9 months or so. In the first 9 months or so, you see that ROI from day one after 9 months was actually the crossing point where Hex starts beating ADA. So this is fascinating to me. And so what did I do here? I went ahead and did what we did for the Hex versus ETH ROI and Hex versus BTC ROI. If you've seen those videos, they're favorites, so check them out if you haven't. We got these performance indices where you plot the relative ROI of Hex from day one to its other coin counterpart, and you get this performance index, so to speak. So again, we explain it all in those videos. If you want an in-depth explanation and kind of framework for what we're doing here, go ahead and check those videos out. And here's an update on where we are actually on the BTC performance index and the ETH performance index. On ETH, we're 8.5x overperforming. On BTC, we're about 1.5x almost overperforming. And let's take a look at the HEX versus ADA performance index. So this just illustrates, right, that we had our post launch dump with Hex, and then pretty much went on to underperform the same initial time window. So these are those first 9 months or so that we mentioned before the obvious choices here, and this clear uptrend ever since, where we haven't looked back to hug this line at all, and we're at a 25x right now. So in the first 485 days from launch, Hex is outperforming ADA by about 25x or so. 25x. I'll let that set in for a bit. Now, will we continue this uptrend? Well, I can't say, right? None of this is financial advice. These are just mathematical models. Um, but you could argue that the launch timing of Hex was great because it was late 2019, right? And we saw the ultimate capitulation, you could say, around March 2020. Even though they were technically higher lows than the late 2018 capitulation, it was markets became more undervalued relative to the market, to the current market conditions, if that makes sense. Like if you see the two bottoms, if you know what I'm talking about, if you look at the December 2018 Bitcoin bottom, for example, and the March 2020 Bitcoin bottom, even though the March 2020 bottom was higher, it was a lot lower on the logarithmic regression model, for example. So without ranting too much on that, you see that we did the same model here for Hex ADA as we have for ETH and BTC, just because we're not doing anything other than acknowledging the obvious fact that it is a top 10 coin. To think that, I'm popularizing something that is already popular is kind of silly. Like, we're just talking about the real world, okay? Let's not pretend like it doesn't exist and be like other people who pretend coins don't exist, okay? So these coins exist. This is the performance index. This is what the data says. It says we are, you know, maybe it's because of timing of launch. Maybe it's because Hex is just designed better to appreciate. But overall, we're up 25x in the first 485 days. I think this is a beautiful thing to see. I'd love to continue seeing this going up. Again, your generic disclaimer for this video. I have no clue what's going to happen. You probably have no clue what's going to happen. But with that said, leave a like if you enjoyed. Let's get to 1,090 subscribers. We're almost at 1,100, so let's get there. And appreciate you watching. And I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.